boy, you're mad, you think you're sicker than me. Me risk the 40 by your chin and tell the pussy vomit. No savage, I love pint of only that a challenge.
Look like a bait in the thing.
I can't crap them part, man.
And if you crap everything,
chop off, you can't chop off, man. You have to get rid of the excess, you know. Yeah, man, but I first listen to Enlightment. Get rid of the excess.
You know what, I'm not even about to look up.
Less is more.
Well, I'm just going to go where?
Me?
After you just say, well.
Less is more.
Because
where are going?
Spiritual enlightenment and them things, you see me?
Alright, cool.
Yeah, what that mean for you? The one tree there.
Alright, spiritual enlightenment to me is a case where you are connected with oneness, right? Along the lines of connecting with the spiritual realm, connecting with yourself, self-awareness, inward viewing, inward seeing, internalizing stuff, and internalizing in the sense of the things that you have learned to come to terms with in terms of the difference between materialistic things and the difference between the spiritual. So the whole aim is to not be all about the physical or all about the whole materialistic vibe. It's more about knowing yourself, getting to know yourself, you know, connecting with that one source of energy that persons like to call God or the universe or whatever it is they like to call
that's an enlightenment.
That essence. That is enlightenment for me. The journey we take for finding that source, that God, that person's look to for guidance and look to for purpose and fulfillment, that spiritual essence of things. Yeah.
Alright, according to Google or Wikipedia, so enlightenment are the complete comprehension of one situation, is it?
The Google version.
So Google tell me.
How are your version?
My version?
Yeah.
Nah, version in a dog.
You're not a version.
Because they are learn and I see 1 tree what am I.
So you learn from the 1 tree where you see?
I see from 1 tree.
You feel like you can walk on water now. You can turn, pipe water and a sorrel beer.
Alright, tell us you're not.
See me?
I'm not an enlightenment for me, dog. I just life processes. Alright, so in terms of enlightenment, is it? I 1 tree there. It would have been a balance, isn't it? Wherein life itself, the experience we're having, all them things there is a balance, isn't it? Wherein the good and the bad are for the good. So enlightenment is not just about the acceptance of spiritualities or spiritualism and then the complete denunciation of materialism and all them things related to life. Isn't it like the pullover and the phone and the isn't it? Them 1 tree there. It's really a balance wherein one know oneself certain ways, isn't it? So like in a more tangible terms, individual me going on party and anything going in at the party, but generally know the reaction. So I don't say if gunshot for fly off, I know my body I would know me how react, how me process it. If a female comes to me, same type of situation, go buy alcohol, same situation. It's knowing oneself, not that way that to the extent of oneself, I'm 1 tree. Applying on a different part of your life and different subsection of how you operate on, is it? I'm 1 tree there. So like, even in the appreciation of just being able to take in oxygen and just being able to touch another human being with your own body, a connection, and to the extreme of appreciating a new heart after you've been waiting for your organ for years on the bed and wait on the transplant, this is it. That people with cancer, there's a saying I'm seeing on series one time where I'm pre-life certain way when I'm say, yo, people with cancer, when generally, because this is not the US and UK type of study, generally when people have cancer, they tend to be happier toward the end of their life or seem to live a more fulfilled life. Studies and all things, whatever they want to call it. Because reason being, they have cancer, so they know without a shadow of a doubt, they have a deadline away from them, you see me? They have a deadline. We all have a deadline, you know, but purely cancer make it seem more urgent, you see me? So, knowing say, oh, you could die at any moment. You have 3 months, doctor tell us you have 6 months. You have people who get that and live years, you know. Not about that. But doctor tell us you have 3 months, 2 days or whatever. It make you be more appreciative of the facts here. You live out 30 odd years, 20 odd years, 40 odd years. You have 2 months to appreciate before you come. So it's really within that sphere of self and world, is it? Well,
so that's what it means for you. So about all the little things that people use as an excuse to be spiritual.
What do you mean?
They might go through hard times in their life, hardship and all of them things. A little accident go down or they might experience a 1 and 2 little pain. And the pain that they might feel, have them a ball out for Christ, have them a ball out for Jesus, even though them take the Lord name in vain. But all of these things are only when them feel the pain, them decide say them are going to get spiritual. And get spiritual in the sense that them are going to end up a blaspheme by a call out the Lord name out of how it's supposed to call. So most people that use pain as a gateway to be spiritual, them not get spiritual naturally in this day and age because they might get distracted by many things. Materialistic things, vanity. So you think about that?
Alright, me personally don't think the average person use pain as a gateway for spiritualism.
So which person you believe use it as a gateway?
There are a few people who are actively, intentionally.
And you said they find spirituality without the pain.
No, the people who use pain to find spiritualism. So you have people who are not using it to do that. They happen to be in pain and try to find some sort of, you don't call it, comfort for the discomfort inside. And you just say, yo, they wait until them reach in a painful situation before them do that. But really and truly, how can you blame them when we are all, number one, physical beings, like we are driven physically, isn't it? Even though we have emotions and all them things, we're driven physically.
So how often you hear people cry out to God?
Hold on. Let me show you. We're driven physically for the most part, is it? And then from the day we're born, as much as our things stay, teaching somebody spiritualism is not something that we keep at the forefront anymore. Not like one time when Pitney grew up and they forgot church. And even though church fall off from where it's supposed to be, that was a case of teaching people to manage their spiritual self and hopefully some emotional aspect, is it? So from born and grow up, we don't necessarily have them thing there anymore. So what we have is a whole bag of predominantly physical factors driving us. So from the constant pornography on screens, whether it's naked women or naked men or naked boys or naked girls, or another way of pornography is the constant food being displayed in front of people, food in excess, food being discarded that is not being used. Another thing that is physically being thrown at us constantly is the sound that we hear. And even though music is spiritual, the sound is a physical activity or a physical phenomenon happening, and you receiving that sound. Physical phenomenon said where you see it. So like the type of sound the people might like, the type of music that the people might consume, type of, as you said the other day, type of propaganda and them things there. We're driven physically constantly. So for people to be spiritual, they will take something and move beyond the physical, move you beyond the physical, and say, yo, I'm moving in that space, I say you can see how I'm doing.
Pain.
I don't think people use it, but I think pain are the place that carry people to the place where they need to be.
So you think so people can find spirituality without pain?
But don't know when I can't answer that for you.
So pain are the driving force between
Pain how
people
me
being connected with the physical and the spiritual. And
can't tell you, pain how me find it.
what me see is that people take the spiritual thing for granted. All the time them feel connected to no form of spirit, anytime them feel some form of pain. See me? Anything with them can't explain, or the spirit will do something. Anything with them believe say should be given to them, or them feel say is a thing where they are supposed to receive, which would have been blessings. At them time they see them call upon the spiritual. The time they see them clasp hands and them focus, or them utter a mantra.
But hold on.
Repeat.
Oh, continue, sorry, I should not cut it. Continue.
You can't cut, man.
Alright, what you may have a problem with? You say people wait until them in a pain before them call upon a spiritual presence, a spiritual host.
That is correct.
But when people feel joy and happiness, them also do that. And we can illustrate this by saying, when a man celebrate or a woman celebrate them birthday, them have them friends and celebrate, but them say, thank God. The people are getting married first, thank God.
Actually, them say thank God. But which part, when I say hear somebody say thank God openly?
What do you mean? People say it all the time.
You mean them type it to them phone?
Nah,
God
that,
to them
people
phone.
say it's not anything to say thank God.
But when you type it to the phone,
Yeah,
is God in the phone?
We do it in a basic art, so I don't know you're going into, you know. I'm not sure you think I'm gonna.
They type it to the status, they post it on their social media accounts. Is God on social media?
You run so fast.
Well,
I race I run.
I've run sometime.
I race I run.
I've run sometime.
Yeah,
Making people
easy
know
na
what
safa.
time it
Pull up na safa.
You know?
Pull up na safa.
So two me taller than a sofa.
Easy man. Bombard. I just tell you.
No, I run it now.
You say people are type thank God in them phone and you ask if that is openly to God. It was sound weird, but it is what it is. But you see it on it's a Netflix series. I think it's Carbonate or Alto Carbonate, or Black Mirror, one of them. Where the form of God did change. No, wait. You know any American gods? I think it's an HBO series. You have an auntie and a bag of different gods, and you have the God of technology. That God reigns because of the new era and wherever. Them follow the premise where people used to praise the seasons, people used to praise the plants, people used to take these things as deities. So now they might take technology as a deity.
I'm going to take technology as a deity. Cool.
So in some form, in some loose form, come on, I try to hold it and hold it. In some loose form, this is actually them paying homage to the God that they believe in. I'm not saying the God they believe in is a technology God, but I'm saying this is how they pay homage to the God they believe in. They're using the technology that is now a part of their life, which is now integrated in how we function, and a very intimate part of who we are now, because enough people they can't see without them phone.
Exactly.
And I use the intimate part of them communication process, and they say thank God. So in some weird way, this is them paying homage to them God.
Seeing. So when them put thank God, them know so the phone them a thank God to, and them bag of followers.
Them not thank God to the phone that.
But I know them phone them type it still.
But when you type whatever, I love you to your woman in your phone, and she tell her your phone.
Well, she interact back with me still. Gotta interact back with whomever.
Yeah, she breathe, right? She breathe oxygen, right? That I gotta interact with him.
Oh, so.
Every day up and down the block.
Okay, so when me write now my status, thank God. Gotta talk back to me through my phone.
Yeah, breathe oxygen, right?
Yeah, me breathe oxygen.
This I gotta interact with you.
This I gotta interact with me. So God in my phone.
That's a God in your phone, but when you say yo, I gotta interact with you. The mere fact that you breathe oxygen is God interacting with you.
So how God in your phone?
I never say God in the phone, you know.
So we thank God go
Alright, so watch
people
me.
post now.
Watch me. I try to put a parallel of it. When they say I love you to the girl, is she in the phone or is she responding to you?
She is wherever she is sending back that response.
Okay, watch me now. When they say thank God in the phone, is God in the phone responding to you, or is God wherever God is and responding by you breathing?
So, because me a breathe here, that a God I interact with me.
Which other sign you need?
Alright then. So, explain to me.
Which other sign you need?
So, explain to me.
No, explain to me which other sign you need to say, yo, God, I interact with you.
So, explain to me how the thank God reach pan a status again. And
What
I mean that inhaling and exhaling is all the thank God that there is or should be.
What do you mean?
Why
What
me
do
have
you
to type
mean?
in our phone?
I ask you a question. This is ear in your lungs. I'll put it in there. A man put it in there. The ear where in your lungs are going out. A man or God put that in there. Because you know one thing your parents ever said to you, and me bring you here, you know.
Well,
And guess what them do? When them bring you here, them bring you as a toddler. We never know nothing.
well,
We never could have do nothing. And what your parents do,
We tell you the
make sure
truth.
so you can do and what you are doing now, you give back to your parents, right?
well, to tell you the truth,
Or answer my question.
whoever provide for me and my
Answer
God
my
still.
question.
Whoever provide for me
Answer
and
my
my God.
question.
Answer your question.
No, answer my question.
What the question?
When you forward here as a toddler from your parents,
Mm.
then make sure so you can eat right, talk and do all these things. And then you can, from what them teach you, as your love said, daddy son, you learn to do a bag of things, right on my road. And now you give back to your parents, right? So the mere fact that you breathe oxygen, you have to use the limbs that God gave you. The ear where you have the nose and them things, the brain that they need,
Well,
and give back to the Holy One.
I know God
Give back to God.
I know God give me my lips still.
Me not gonna argue that point there because me no know.
Me look like
how we
me look
there.
like the two people that come together and
Me no
come
know,
out.
me no know,
So,
me no know all the whole of way there. So me not gonna argue that point there because that bigger
so
than
are
me.
them genes make me there so.
You hear me say no? That bigger than me, Jesus and them 10 disciples. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, as me say still, whoever provide for you naturally will be your God still. You know, see what them say? If
So
Jesus,
whoever provide for you gonna be a God.
if
So if you
Jesus
broke
died
right
for
now-
us, we will die for us. And why was that?
So,
Because he was providing. Yeah? Whoever provide for persons, they are their gods. Them boss, them pastor, them boss, them pastor, Salvation Army, whoever bring cross free lunch, come give them, are then God.
Never ask you that thing about man, you move from the point to
No, man, you're up. No, you're up.
Like you, what you want to say, you move from the point to
No, you're up.
Watch me and say, no. Then use the thing and say, thank God. When you say, I love you in the phone, I want the phone, you say it to the woman.
But I am getting a response back.
The
So
mere
is
fact
God
that you
in the
breathe-
technology?
The mere fact that you breathe oxygen is you getting a response from God.
So how you know say God response that and not something else I give me oxygen?
There's no way for you to get an argument there.
Of course.
But that's how watch you
Because
walk off of the
what you
ledge.
know, what you know?
That's how watch you walk off of the ledge.
Is there a ledge to walk off?
You're goddamn right, and you walk off and
There
you
is
know.
no ledge because first things first. Whomever is going to talk about the concept of God cannot prove that there is a God.
And you cannot disprove it either.
I'm not try to disprove it. I'm just here adding to what persons would say that there is a God. So I am saying there is one. Mainstream persons don't go further than the concept of God, and that is the surface of God, the God that they were born to know, and the God that they were taught to learn about. They are not the types that will go beyond certain surfaces because they will believe that questioning certain things is blasphemy.
Question like what?
Question if there is a God. The
mean there is a
normal person will not do that because they will consider that as blasphemy. Just like how you said that the mere fact that I am breathing air, I am communicating to that God and that God is communicating back to me.
That is it.
But if that is a case of communication, why would I be typing thank God in my phone?
Because that's a form of expression.
So I am expressing to persons in my phone that thank God.
Why not?
God is not in my phone.
You're expressing gratitude and thankfulness.
For whom? To what?
I don't know. I never assumed for you. But I said that's what
Exactly.
it was.
So if it's a case where I have to type in my phone, thank God, isn't it because it is socially acceptable why I'm saying thank God? Why isn't there a personal relationship between me and this being? Why do I need to justify by saying thank God in a phone?
You said when it comes to Mother's Day, you say Happy Mother's Day?
Yes,
Why?
because the mother is physically there.
But why do you
She
need
gave
to,
birth
But why
to
do
me.
you need to justify her being there? Why do you need to celebrate her being there?
Why do I need to celebrate her? The celebration based on what society expects, just like our religion is something that society deems necessary.
Not what society said.
Why do I?
Yeah, why you celebrate her? Why?
Celebrate her because you're giving her gratitude, and again, society's norms and traditions. You see everybody around you celebrating Mother's Day, so conformity. You're going to conform and celebrate Mother's Day with.
So you already doing because of conformity?
Most persons do things because of conformity. Trending, viral things, social media.
Most persons.
Then who else would we be talking about?
Talking about you right now.
Talking about me. Why do I?
Yes.
To celebrate it.
Yeah.
Because society
So
considers it. How I feel doesn't matter in the moment. If I feel that it is all baloney, bullshit, it doesn't matter to me.
How you paint it, you know. Are you saying that you conform?
Society's tradition expects you to say Happy Mother's Day.
Just answer a question. Nah, kill you.
Ask a question.
Yeah, say I conform just to say Happy Mother's Day.
Conformity is a must. Unless you want to be deemed a madman.
So
conform.
So
it's a necessary evil.
You don't genuinely want to celebrate your mother.
First thing first, the mere fact that I'm alive is a celebration. She gave birth to me.
Then if
that's a celebration.
Then why,
I pay homage to her every day by existing.
Then why the Happy Mother's Day then?
Because again, society deems this a norm. It's a tradition.
Then why are you saying it?
Saying it because it's a tradition.
If you don't mean it, why are you saying it?
It still boils into the fact that I exist. So it doesn't matter if I mean it or I don't mean it. I am alive. The ultimate disrespect to my mother would be me taking my own life. That's me not appreciating the fact that she gave birth to me.
You deem your parents as a god?
Naturally, they provide. Whoever provides for you will be a god. Involuntarily.
Whoever provides for you will be a god?
Yes.
Expound upon that for me, please. More understanding. Unpack that for me.
If you are starving, whomever brings food to you, will you not be grateful for the food? In the moment of starvation and the belly pain, in that moment where you need food, it's no longer a want, it's a need. We all need nourishment to survive. They bring this food to you in this moment of starvation. You are going to look at them and be very grateful, thankful that they decided to bring something to you. You may feel like you owe them for life. This is what it means to have a savior, somebody that comes to you in a time of need. Not a time of want where you have options, but a time of need. If you are dead for thirst in a desert, anybody will bring a cup of water come here, you will not go forget that thing. When they're in need and persons show up, they will naturally be deemed a savior in your mind. Whether you know want to say it or not, you're going to deem them a savior because you're going to be forever grateful to this person.
Can I explain the context of how that makes somebody a god? Because
what does a god do? What is the purpose of a god? What is the role of a god?
That me just go deal with right now, so me can get on the same page with this. A god is it? A somebody who is omnipresent and dead is it? And
omnipresent,
not somebody, omnipresent, omniscient, them bag of things.
All powerful, all seeing.
All them things. Their word goes, everything. I feel what them say. Because them know the end story, the end goal, everything. You don't know what them know. You know the thing, but follow my lead and do as I say. Them want you. A God can make the possible impossible and
continue.
The things that you cannot do, obviously. And a God have wisdom beyond all human comprehension.
Continue.
So does somebody fall in the category of being a God?
And you don't see how parents fall into that category?
Parents, I'm going to set apart, yeah? If it makes sense. When you are a child, and you look a bit you don't know nothing, to you the child, the parents are the gods of your world. But at some point you have to stop being a child and grow up. That's up to each and every individual person. But to each child, the parents are the gods, but eventually you do grow up.
Who gave you life?
What do you mean?
Who gave you life?
What do you mean?
Who gave you life?
Couldn't tell you.
9 months and you're out in the world.
Couldn't tell you. No,
You're
mother
in your
carried
life
for 9
exhale.
months.
She
My
gave you life.
My father's seed impregnated.
He
my
gave you
mother carried
life.
For 9 months.
They both came together and you got life.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
You carried their DNA and you carried generations and generations and generations of DNA summarized in you. And you will continue this legacy. Information on top of information, all in your genetic code from various ancestors. And you are the summary of all of that.
Not necessarily, but I see what you're saying. Go on.
You are a summary of all of that.
Not necessarily, but
The bloodline.
Go on.
The bloodline continues with you. Your life is owed to your parents. If you separate yourself from the parent, then there can be no acknowledging and understanding of God.
Who separated
You have to love yourself to find God.
Who saying separate
And if you
yourself
separate yourself from that love or separate yourself from that God, then how will you know yourself?
Who said separate yourself from parents?
If you separate yourself from parent, there can be no embracing of God.
Watch me. There's a difference between making your parents your God and keeping them as your God the more you grow, and accepting that your parents are like you, just human
But
beings.
they cannot move from that mantle because they give you life.
General, they can't think and listen at the same time. It's not gonna work.
Right?
You cannot talk your argument and not listen to me and say it can't work.
Run it right.
Your parents cannot be a God for the rest of your life. At some point, you're going to have to realize your parents are just human beings like you who make mistakes just like you and who are growing and still, even at for them age, figuring this out.
And he's got a perfect God.
Just like you.
And he's got a perfect God.
According to the Bible, yeah?
How can it be according to the Bible? And he has made various mistakes according to that said Bible.
According to the Bible, God is a perfect
If he's
God.
all-knowing, then how did all these mistakes come about? Why did the world have to start over again by the drowning of various persons so that Noah could start a different thing?
Anyway,
How could he be perfect and not see that Adam and Eve would do what they had done? You do realize that the Bible is filled with mistakes.
oh, yeah.
And God learned from each mistake and cleared up that error. Perfection does not make mistakes. So who is the one that came about with this concept that he or her or this being is perfect? If we are all made from the image of God,
That's a genuine answer.
that means that we that make.
Might end up going more another direction of the conversation.
Yeah, man, run it, man.
But go on, finish
Don't
up
tell
the
us the
question.
people are going to be like erotic in this. For sure. My answers, are that of the heathens.
Continue to have him finish one
But-
question.
I hope people understand, So these things that I'm answering is based off my reasoning. No way do I consider my opinion permanency. It can be altered and it can be changed. I'm open to any discussion. I'm not a difficult person. If I bring a reasoning to me, I will reason. If it's not a case that we can reason, I will accept that this is your belief system. And I will keep my viewpoints to myself. But for the podcast, we are having a discussion and a reasoning about religion and religious beliefs. We're not tying this down to an enemy, savior, villain kind of thing or a hero kind of concept. We're speaking on behalf of our own opinions and our own views. So, what was the question again?
A perfect God can make so much mistake.
Yes, there have been various mistakes recorded in the very same Bible. And we do know that it was human beings that have written the Bible. So I don't get why persons cling so heavily and so strictly to texts that have been altered. You even have books that are missing from the Bible. You have Toby that's missing. Here's other things. There are lots of unanswered things. But one thing is true with the Bible is that human nature is very consistent in the Bible. So where other things might stir or inspire doubt in persons, the stories seem rather a bit far-fetched. You know, without getting at this one. I said go.
We're going to a silly quick.
We're going to a silly who?
Silly quick. I want to say a question. Okay, I have a question to say, how can a perfect being make so many mistakes, and are we not a representative of such a being? Is it? I mean, you have them question there too. I mean, you see here Christians come to me and say, oh, the reason why is because God perfect, you can't understand true wisdom and thing. I think it was foolishness, you see. But understanding of self, I'm do whole heap of soul searching and sit down by myself and them one tree there. I'm start understand life and them things like that. So the best way to understand the world is to understand yourself. And for understand just how perfect God is. I mean, I'm not Christian, I don't believe in the religious thing, but for understand how perfect God is, you have to truly understand just how imperfect you are. That's the whole key to it. Like, you have to truly understand just how imperfect you are, you understand how perfect God is. If it makes sense, the world full of chaos, destruction, it's full of disease, it's full of sickness, it's full of destruction, it's full of thievery, it's full of deceit, full of lies and them things. But it's also full of happiness, it's full of joy, it's full of softness, it's full of comfort, it's full of sharing. Hold on, you have to listen to me and talk at the same time.
I hear your perspective.
Oh, you listen and talk at the same time. Oh, you think that and I listen to words. Oh, you do that.
I hear you.
Oh, you think that. Oh, you make up your argument and I listen at the same time. Oh.
I still see perspective.
Anyways, just like you have destruction, death and them things, you have softness, comfort, love, joy, happiness and them things in the world. And that's the whole thing that makes it perfect. The fact that none of it is one thing, because if you have constant happiness, peace and love every day, and that's what people think heaven is, we get it. And if you have constant destruction, death and murder every day, that's not what life is. It's not only destruction and death, dog.
Who says?
You see what I'm saying right now? Nobody are dead in us, nobody are suffering in us.
We don't know that.
Nobody miserable in us.
We don't know that.
You suffer from something?
You don't know if when you go to a doctor, the doctor them make you do an executive.
You are suffer from something. You are suffer from something?
Me don't know that neither. You don't know if me there, so no, me stress up or me blood pressure.
Just ask you a while ago, so you can answer the question.
So we can know.
You can answer the question.
I am answering the question. You can't know. There's no way to know that. What we do know is that we can be deluded and we can delude ourselves.
Yeah, man, I might say no time not to the people win. Yeah,
that
man.
happiness and these things are things that
well, I'm not done answer your question at any which ways.
Really?
I ask what perfect I can do these things.
And I'm listening keenly.
And the reason why we are the way we are is because we're supposed to be this way. Because, dog, life wouldn't be interesting any other way.
How do you know that?
You know, I never read about, but I don't know. Life would not be interesting any other way. Like, we get it, nobody wants to be miserable, and that's not what the aim is, and that's not what none of us are doing this for. But you get up every day and you have little things in your life that happens and don't happen. That's what
happens and don't happen, okay.
I don't know what it is, don't know where it could be, don't know where it could be. Like, alright, some very basic and very small trivial, I guess. Like, you and our friends supposed to link up later on. And so the day you rain out and you don't get to link up. You just link up apart. And the day rain out. That's a plan that fell through. Then in a more extreme case, you're supposed to marry somebody and you decide not to show up. That's just life, dog.
Life?
That's just life.
Sense. So you do realize it's harder to be positive than it is to be negative. We're surrounded by negativity.
Yeah, you're surrounded by positivity.
Where?
But we're more inclined to pay attention to the negativity.
Where is the positivity?
Again, we sit down in our room right now, we are shoot a podcast at that. You see me?
Shooting a podcast.
Me have on clothes where me own. We have a space that is mine. You have a space that is yours. Matter of fact, but even not go so far. You have above average intelligence. Fuck you talk about, bro.
But that is not a good thing to have above average intelligence.
So,
Having above average intelligence means that you're going to be alone.
no, having been
Because
low,
no one will be able to relate to your thought process.
Me tell you, I think the problem is. It's not a matter of above average intelligence. Because I hear a lot of people that argument and I do not believe this.
The higher your IQ, the more you're more likely to not have friends.
But you have emotional
lovers.
intelligence, you see me? It's
No.
called EQ, and the lower your EQ is, the less social, or the less
The
of a
lower your
social
EQ, the
life.
higher your IQ will be.
Not necessarily. And the people with the high IQ argument, I'm not saying everybody have this, the high IQ argument, I say the higher IQ, the more difficult their life would be.
Yes.
I don't necessarily believe that because
Why not?
people with quote unquote low IQ, but I don't believe nobody's stupid and nobody never will.
Very
And
good,
people smart in their own ways, but not generally the same ways.
Yeah.
But people with low IQ or lower IQ, them generally live miserable lives as well and happy lives just like people with high IQ.
How can they be living miserable lives and they have the most kids?
Not just miserable lives, they live miserable lives and happy lives just like people with high IQ.
How so? Cannot be. Lower IQ, the more likely you are to connect with persons. The higher your IQ, the more likely you are prone to personality disorders and mental disorders.
I'm not saying nothing that. But
So
again,
how can they be prone to what they
Low
cannot
EQ.
relate to?
low EQ.
Low EQ means
Yeah.
that you're going to be more prone to psychopathy.
Low emotional intelligence is a thing, you know, because I watch it. I'm share it with me. Alright, so people with high IQ, as you put it, them tend to be more focused, book-centric, activity-centric, and thing-centric. People with a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, tend to be more people-centric. So them tend to want to be around people more, connect with people more. So the thing is this, you with a quote-unquote high IQ spend majority of your time building habits, doing things, reading books, and spending less time with people. Like people with a higher EQ spend them time at talk to people, connect with people. So over time, that is what it's going to be.
They connect with persons.
What is that?
They connect with persons.
How you connect with persons?
No, they connect with persons.
They
The high
connect with
EQ persons connect with persons.
As I'm saying,
High IQ persons don't know how to connect with
if you have
persons.
high IQ and high EQ, you can connect with people. It's not that difficult.
Really.
Take some work, but it's not that difficult.
Persons cannot relate to you, so how is it that they are going to connect with you without you pretending or dumbing yourself down
You don't
to
need to
fit
pretend.
in?
You don't need to pretend. Alright, let me show you. Because you have people with high IQ and high EQ and them not like for their own people, them good. Don't get it twisted.
How many persons do you know?
I know a few people with high IQ and high EQ and them like to stay by themselves because
Exactly.
no, them like to stay by themselves because them generally like to do things on their own because of how them grow.
Really? Or is it just a case that they hate people?
Because of how them grow. I don't know if they hate people.
Exactly.
We can't talk about it. I know. But the thing is, the people that talk about the personality disorder and the thing there.
The mental disorders, yes.
Alright, so with them now, them internalize, from what I say, internalize too many of the small things and make it build up and leave it for too late. So it would be like, let's say I have an issue with you constantly putting your foot over which part of my foot there. I'm going to say one thing. I do this for like a couple of weeks, every different couple of weeks. I answer until one day do something. Like small, but I'm not reacting for the push foot thing. I react No, it don't look like me react for the push foot thing. It look like me react for the small thing that you did. But in fact, me react from that entire thing come back. The thing with people who tend to have higher IQ and lower EQ is internalize the things that are happening around and to them, so them don't do us anything about it. So when time come, when them actually build up and boil up, it looks like them are overreact or them have a personality disorder. When in fact them just
They do.
when in fact what some people I've seen need to learn how to do is just manage how they communicate and express their emotions, how they deal with certain things.
You do realize that there are over 200 mental disorders.
Now some of them.
How many persons that you interact with, how many persons you interact with know this?
No say I have over 200 mental
Yes, no
disorders.
say you have 200, over 200
But they
mental.
not to do no research. on
Exactly.
that.
So how your backside are going to relate to people where now have the type of premiums they like you. If you depend on the level where your IQ high over so, where you think a low IQ person are going to relate to you, you can't connect with the person. And them can't relate to you. And most high IQ persons are borderline.
Some get this. Hold on, let me get this. Some get this.
Schizotypical.
Let me get this. You have a high IQ, which means that you can hold different perspectives, which means that you can understand people on different levels. And you tell me, say, with all of your IQ, with all of this brain power you have, you can't learn to understand somebody quote unquote low IQ?
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
I'm listening.
Low IQ persons only exist to be manipulated by high IQ persons. We don't seek to understand anyone. If you come around a wolf and you're a lamb, you're going to get slaughtered. Why would anyone of a high IQ try to communicate or relate to a low IQ person? They exist, but they exist for a purpose. Either they will become pawns, or they will become shields, or they will become a messenger, or they will be sent to do the bidding of the high IQ person. There is no communicating with that low IQ without it ending up in manipulation. As a matter of fact, a low IQ person cannot hold certain discussion with a high IQ person, because high IQ persons are going to do everything in their power to avoid having conversations with low IQ persons. It's a pain to talk to persons with low IQ, because once them start talking to you, you're going to feel like a couple of your brain cells them are dead. It's worse than cigarette smoke. It's worse than the liquor when you buy a roadside. It's worse than sewage water when it pass in a truck. There is no redemption for a high IQ person. You sit down and reason with a low IQ. You know, so much people try to avoid the ghetto. You think they avoid the ghetto because of violence alone, or the mindset of the people that make them sight the ghetto? The mindset of the people make them sight the ghetto. Yeah? Watch me now. You have high IQ people where them do venture in the ghetto, but as I said, them find a way to monetize the garrison. Are they truly in the garrison to help the garrison? Are they in the garrison to dig up the oil that is in the garrison? Utilizing the minds of the persons and the youths that don't know any better. Because there isn't truly much defense against a high IQ person, you know. All them are going to do is figure out what is your need, and they will provide that need, and voila, you become a loyal subject to the high IQ person. In short, you become food. And when I say food, I mean a pawn and a chessboard to further an agenda. I think they're going to say how great it is to have a high IQ. You see me?
What are you talking about?
Hmm?
What are you talking about?
Oh, you're not talking
When
about that?
I fight the point for.
Oh, cool.
I'm not going to fight nothing, I agree with each other.
Oh, see?
Can't fight upon it. You make sense all of it, I can't fight it.
You see me?
I'm born and grown, so I can't fight it.
So again, I say, people, these views are those views. It is not written in stone. It can always be changed. And I am open for these discussions. I am open for other opinions. I don't have horns growing on my head, even though my views may seem like that of a demon worshipper. It is not so. I just have a different view from yours. It may not be popular, it's unpopular, but this is what this podcast is about, having unpopular discussions.
Sure.
So,
You want
Why you
say?
mad, you think you're sicker than me? Me raise the fatty by your chin and tell the pussy vomit. No stop bitch. All up pint and only doctor challenge. It press your brain